everybody. I'm gonna do some. Let's turn that down a bit. I turned it down on OBS and then I forgot to turn it down on my actual headphone. Let me just post to Twitter and tell people that we're streaming some out. Reminding people of today's Shit Cinema Sunday. With Sloth. Oh, I always forget my address as well. So it's www.twitch.tv/Kohbah D. That works. That'll do. Hello, sorry. Gosh, terrible of me doing the admin right before I'm supposed to start actually doing some work. I'm going to switch to the screen where we left off yesterday. That one is where we left off yesterday. I might move that chat box down actually. Now that I can see where it goes. Where's a good place for it? Put it down here. Nah, let's just cover some of the layers. I don't want to cover too much stuff, but I might use the larger chat box to be honest. Because I've got a chat box that I use on this one, which is longer. I'll swap it later. There's no point doing it now. I'm just distracting myself from the artwork. Let's get some art done. Sorry. I had a lovely sleep. I had a lot of sleep. Literally, if you watched the stream last night, you'll see my hair has not moved at all from how it was yesterday because I put so much hairspray in it. And genuinely, before I fell asleep last night, I was actually thinking in my head how I was going to paint this. Because there's a bunch of stuff. I'm not someone who normally does landscapes, so I've just been kind of inspired. I've been watching, there's a Bob Ross stream that you can watch. Let me just see if I can find it. It's literally Bob Ross, as in capital B O B capital R O S S. Search that on Twitch and it's just non-stop Bob Ross like all the time, which obviously if anyone's never seen Bob Ross, you need to, because he has the most angelic voice. But this is computer game art, so you know my reference is an in-game screenshot, which the reference is fisheye, so I've taken out the fisheye because I don't really like how artificial that is. And also there's like a weather, like the sun's high in the sky. I'm not sure I want the sun to be high in the sky because that would kind of affect how we paint it. But then where am I going to put the sun? Where the sun is in the sky changes the color of the sky. So basically, I don't think I can use this reference for color. I think I can only use it for what textures things have and the basic structure, which I manipulated anyway. So whatevs. But we'll see. In terms of sketch, I think it's pretty much done. Where's my layers gone? Oh yeah. I think the sketch is pretty much done. Shrink you down a bit. I don't need you too big. And the purpose of this piece of artwork was to just play around with the brushes. So this isn't going to be perfect or anything. This is just going to be a lot of experimentation. I want to use a lot of gouache. So let's pop all of this shite in a folder. Reduce the opacity down. Don't worry, we are going to keep it, but wrong one. Get out of that folder, you cheeky layer. Honestly, the worst thing in Photoshop is these cheeky layers. I'll lock this and then just paint on that one. Now, I'm also going to change the colour of this. I want this to be more of a mid-tone, just so that when I put light tones down, I can kind of tell where they are. And the piece is probably going to be largely blue. Probably with some like sandy stone colours. And then some green. So we want this. Let's, for now, do like a really muted slate grey mid-tone. See how that goes. I don't know how it's going to go, but we're experimenting, we're playing with stuff. Let's see what happens. So we want to step away from our charcoal now and go into gouache. Let's go for something sexy messy. Oh, I'm still on the still on the blue. So let's have a look at the sky then. Let's see if we can get some basic shapes for the sky and for the land. Here's the sky. I'll be here a while with that. Let's see if we can get a big chunky one. Is that chunky? No, it's defined. Come on, nope. I reckon we're not going to find a big chunky gouache brush. That's a thick gouache brush. It's trying to do the whole dry media thing as well, which is a shame because it kind of slows it down. This is a kind of texture, so what you'd normally do, rather than putting everything down on one brush, you'd use a few different brushes. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily have a few different brushes. I have the old Kyle stuff. I obviously have these general ones. I wonder, what if we just go really big with a basic brush? See that? I really like that. I love the effect of that. It's just a bit too small to be effective. Let's try this then. We're not gonna just do one colour, we are gonna put some texture on. I just wanna lay this down first. I could have just masked the whole thing, to be honest. I think there's no shame in it. I think for the first thing, let's do that. Oh, wrong one. Right there, go to about here. Go. Then we'll just paint bucket the whole damn thing. If you tap it a few times, it does that, and then you just get rid of all these edges that we had before. There we go. Then down here, what I want to do is tint this a little bit. I could have done this. Let's do it the other way around. Let's in theory, the water is the same as the sky, with a few exceptions, but for the base for now, let's just do it all together. I might make the water a bit darker. And then let's cheat and let's just cut all of this out and we'll refine the edge later. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, I'm someone who is used to comic book art, so I do a lot of cell shading. I do a lot of really like visually basic stuff, like flat colors with one shadow. But in the past few years, oh hey Hev, welcome to the stream. I started this yesterday, so this is just carrying on. I want that to be a light yellow, okay, a yellowy green. Go. Fine. Just tidy up those edges. Oh, tidy up the edges. I don't need to tidy the edges because I'm gonna fuck it up in a bit soon. And it's got this really nice stone colour, like a yellowy stone colour. It's got some of that in there. need to control the size with the pressure. So let's leave this for now. Problem is, when you lay colour down like that, it gets very difficult to actually see the sketch underneath, which is what you're trying to work for. How are you doing, Ev? You recovered from last night? I say recovered, not as if it was a wild one, was it? Kind of basic as far as evenings go. Lovely though. I love a nice basic evening. I myself am a basic evening. I'm just being a knob with this. Bit of a knob. Go around everything. I might actually have to turn my sketch layer up because that paint is too dark. Turn us up to... That'll do for now. And then we'll refine it once we've got some more of these shapes in place. What's that button? What's that button do? What's it say? What's it do? Should we press it? What's that do? That's just turning things off. What does it do? Kind? Oh, is it a filter? Oh! Oh, that's clever. Oh, thank you very much, Hev. So yesterday was the sketch. We did this little sketch thing, just to get you up to speed. This is a sketch of a cityscape in Final Fantasy XIV called Limsa. I've got a reference in front of me. I'm kind of inspired by the reference, but I'm not copying it because it's in a fisheye. So the reason why the cliffs are making this V shape at the bottom, the actual large castle part of the of Limsa is like really small and far away, and it just looks a bit artificial. So I've got this to kind of see. The city's got this really nice kind of coastal view where it's just a bunch of like rocks sticking up out of the water, and then stuff has been built onto the rocks, as you can see, and they're all connected via these walkways, like high and low walkways, which I really like. So I wanted to capture that, but I didn't want it to be too kind of artificial like at the back, so that's why I've kind of brought it forward. So I can't use the painting in exact reference. Also, I'm not entirely sure how I want the weather / lighting conditions to go yet. I think I'm probably going to do that on the fly. So I'm not using the colours either, except for these base colours here. Which, to be fair, the ones that I've picked, it looks like it's going to be a bright day. So it's probably going to be a bright day. So the sun probably is going to be high in the sky. But I think the sun's going to be like high in the sky off screen, so that it doesn't get too in the way of anything. But I haven't painted in so long. I actually don't know how this is going to go. So we're just experimenting at the moment. I'm gonna play and see what works, what doesn't work. I make a lot of this stuff up as I go along. So whatever you do, don't pay attention to me. Oh, also, my eyes are still really dry. I've got an appointment at the optician's tomorrow. I don't normally have bags under my eyes, it's just where I'm pulling my eye down to put my eye drops in. It's making me look tired, you know? I'm just hanging out waiting for Sloth's film to come on. That's what I do on a Sunday. It's down here. They're very kind of like, they've got like this yellow limestone rocks, which I really like. Some up there as well. Because that's a cliff. Mr. Cliff Richard. It's not Cliff Richard. Cliff Richard isn't affiliated with Final Fantasy XIV. More's the pity, it might have helped his career. kind of eking these out, but a lot of these I'm going to change the colour of anyway, because a lot of them are kind of going into the background quite a bit. But what I want to experiment with is I want to try and give an impression of distance using contrast. So the background's going to have very low contrast compared to the foreground, which means that I suppose we're going to have to make this water a lot deeper. Hang on, let's stick with this yellow for now, because we're going to have to do a bunch of foliage as well anyway. This is a really chunky brush, but it's on purpose, I promise you. Because if you start with the detail, you can start with the detail. Like if you know where the light's coming from, you can start with the detail. That's why they use the phrase illuminating to explain some things. When something is educational, it's because you can see things better in the light. So really, when you're painting, a lot of people will purposefully, there's a thing there as well, purposefully leave the dark stuff blurry and splodgy and big chunky brushy, which I really like. I love a good chunky brush. The other thing is, I'm going to be painting on one layer, which is what I did for my astrologian painting, which is the one that's in the banner on my main site, if anyone noticed. That's a waterfall. The waterfall's not blue, but it's just to remind me that there's a waterfall there. That's a building, not a grass. A grass, you say? Sunday. Oh, I want some nice piano music. Should we try and find some piano music? Because I searched on Spotify for some license-free piano music, and that's what came up. I just was like, oh, play, but it seems to be like jazz and saxophone. Let's have some. We need some license-free piano music so that I don't have to pay anyone. There we go. 1 hour 22. That's probably about as long as we're going to be painting for, I think. Is that on? Oh, that's nice. Isn't that nice? There we go. Feel free to mute me and put your own music on. Yeah, you paint as long as you want to. Oh, thanks, Hev. Thanks for that permission. Cool, we are sorted. Well, I can't paint for as long as I want to because soft film is going to be probably around 2 o'clock. That's normally when he does it, so. Although if he's picked the ants on the plane one, I might stick with doing some art. I don't quite fancy like itching myself to death. Right. We need more detail now. So let's change the opacity. This button here is to change the opacity based on pressure, which is what we want because these in the background are going to end up lighter, but actually I'm not sure we want them lighter. I think we want them darker. Well, let's just do this for now, and then if we want to change it, we can do, because we are the masters of our own destiny. Because I want to play with contrast, like I said, but something there in the background. It's not in the sketch, but we'll pop it in. We're alright. We can do that kind of thing. I don't know what that is, but paint it in anyway. Not a lot of background stuff around this chunk, but there is a piece here at the back. So that's it. And then there's a mountain, in my reference there's a mountain up here, but what I've done is I've put that hill in the foreground, so sucks to be that hill, I guess. I can't decide if I want that to be darker or lighter. I think I want it to be darker actually, which means let's change this to like a darker blue. Still got my opacity on, so I'm controlling the opacity of the pen, of the paint with how firmly I press the pen down. There we go. That poor hill. Well, you know what? That hill's going to be there long after I'm gone, so who's the real winner, you know? Sorry. I trimmed my moustache hair the other day. I think it's meeting with my nose hair, and they're having a fight because I keep itching my nose. It looks like I'm picking my nose. I'm not picking my nose. I'm scratching my nose because it fucking nose hair. You were saying you were complimenting my beard yesterday. Like, this is the kind of stuff that this beard causes. You end up getting like dreadlocks where your nose hair and your mustache hair tickle. Okay, so that rock's really light now, and if we decided that the sky is lit way above, which I think it would be, let's call this midday, and we can start to cripple some of these light tones in the rock. So down here, you'd have this really dark shadowy bit here. These limestone rocks are really cool. I don't know if it's intentional, but they've got these kind of banded layers. And I have seen them somewhere before in the world. Don't exactly know where, but it occupies a space in my brain that I can use for our reference. Be about that. We're going to assume that the sun is oceanside. Which means it would technically be behind all of this. Again, I can just lie with a lot of it. Nobody will know. I'm glad you believe me. Putting everything in the shade. Like this is going to be in the shade. It's like an entrance hall there to the bulwark. I'm not sure if the shadow's going to be like this, so maybe I'll make it like a purple tone. I much prefer dealing with like purple tone shadows. This is just for my benefit, really. Should we do a contrast map? I wondered if a contrast map would be a good idea. Let's try that actually. So, contrast map. What I'm going to do is we're going to try and chalk out everything that's going to have light on it. And then everything that's going to have shadow on it. Don't want to go that chunky actually. Let's do it with a different brush. Let's try and be a bit more specific with this. It's too big. What's that? Oh, that's funny. James has just messaged me. What have we just said? Twitch is full of simps, so much porn. I feel really wholesome then doing a landscape. Maybe I should do porn, then I'll get more followers. I'm kidding, of course. I've already done porn. Yeah, that's cool. That's nice and harsh, that one. Okay, so let's just do a really high top view of this. That one. That one. The light's kind of going to be everywhere, most of this places. You're not going to have that harsh of a line. But obviously, I'm saying you're not going to have that harsh of a line, and I've picked like a really harsh brush. You're the wholesome saviour. Like I say, I do apologise. I have done porn. I've drawn a fair bit of porn in my day. There's a reason why I say I'm kink positive on my channel. And that's because I have a lot of kinky friends who love my artwork and want kinky porn, and I am A-okay with that. Because they pay well. No, I'm kidding. It's because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy art. I enjoy art and I enjoy human sexuality. And drawing porn is where the two meet. Honestly though, this is just occupational therapy for me. I don't often get things right either, so... And to be honest, when I said that I was going to be streaming art, I kind of expected people to come in on Twitch and be like, that's not how you do it, but everyone's been really nice. Nothing wrong with some kinky porn. Let people be into what they're into. It's all great. I agree. This is undeniably calming. Oh, thank you. I like to think I have a strong influence in that. My dulcet tones. It calms me. But like I say, occupational therapy. I think if I had a channel that was just me making wicker baskets for 3 hours, it'd probably be just as calming. I'll zoom in if you want, because I am aware that I can get really close to the screen and see stuff, but I suppose it's a bit more difficult for you guys. So this is going to be reflected light from the water, because obviously this is underneath. So when you get directional reflected light like that, like there, the sun is going to be off the screen. So if I'd have to go like up this way to chalk the line of the sun like that. So all these shadows here are like, it's kind of just well lit all together. But for these under bits that the sun can't hit, it'll be the light will be going what, and then bouncing off and then going on here. So the color of the light is going to be dictated by the color of whatever this is. So this is probably going to be a little bit more yellowy, bluey light. The sun's obviously going to be a warm light, but that's probably going to be more of a reflected ocean light. You know, like when the ocean makes light that looks like that when it's like reflected. Or like if you've got Legends of Zelda, if you've ever seen Wind Waker, I love how they do like their ocean. They're like ocean, how they do like their ocean effect. It's like this. And then the stuff in the circles is blue, and then everything in between is white. And I just think it looks so cool. Because then when you have it like coming on a beach like that, it looks like that. And then they get like larger as they get onto the sand. And you have this kind of lobby, and then you've got a wave like that. It just looks, it's hard to explain, but it looks really cool. Get off my screen. I keep getting tooltips coming up on Photoshop, which is like, did you know that this is a feature? I'm like, first of all, I've been using Photoshop for 17 years. Second of all, No, I didn't. Thank you for showing me that. This side's actually quite dark. I'm just going to outline, do a tiny outline on all of this. Not defined it very clearly, to be honest. Then this one, this will be outlined, and it's stone, so that's going to be a bit more texture. I'm aware that this is a heavy brush. It's like a really harsh brush to be doing this with. But it is what it is. I've made my choice. Plus, a lot of the time, you know, when people say like, "Oh, I can't do art," we was having a discussion actually. Someone called Thirsch followed me, who's a fine arts student somewhere in the UK. I don't know. I didn't ask specifically, but somewhere in the UK. And we were talking about the difference between digital media and physical media, and you know, the idea of talent and the idea of how you get better as an artist, and that kind of art envy that sometimes people get, where they say like, "Oh, I wish I could draw," and a lot of the time it just seems to be, well, what you wish you did was enjoy drawing. It's not that you wish you could draw, but it's a difference between doing something that you enjoy in your free time. Because I recognize that I haven't been drawing in a long time, so I've had this amazing piece of equipment for ages, but I just haven't used it because I used to do professional freelance illustration, and then I got a job as a designer, and that's a full-time job, so you know, it took a lot of my time. So I didn't touch the Cintiq for a long time, and going from illustrating for pleasure to illustrating for work, it did kind of change things a bit. I still love it, obviously, because I'm doing it now, but the difference was before I was working as an illustrator in order to help pay my bills, I would do artwork all the time in my spare time, and then I started doing it for a job, and I didn't want to do it as much in my spare time. Obviously, who wants to work in their spare time? But other people like to do other things in their spare time, like watch telly or read a book or do other stuff. And you can probably imagine someone who reads a book like for fun, like a fiction book, for example. I read books, but they're like history books. That's what I like to read. So I'd probably be quite terrible if I tried to write a story, whereas someone who reads books like that in their spare time probably can write a story pretty easily compared to me. And it's just because that's what they like to do with their free time, you know? Do I want that in the foreground? Yeah, let's just put a tiny bit of light on it. So the difference is, like, you wish you enjoyed it enough to do it often enough to get good at it. That's the outcome of that discussion. Is this is the waterfall, so this is going to be quite reflective. That there as well. Let's get rid of that. Do stop me if I'm proselytizing, by the way, or if I'm preaching. It's not my intention. I just want to help people. That's a really good way of putting it. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I was mentioning yesterday that my dissertation at university, I very nearly did it on the subject of talent and the idea of talent. The concept of being talented and the difference between what talent is and what, you know, what's a natural aptitude for something versus something that someone has sacrificed and worked really hard on and, you know, gotten good at. Is that talent? Is calling that talent dismissive? I've had people tell me I'm talented, but some people have said, oh, I wish I could do that, but I'm not talented. And I'm like, well, you just dismissed quite a lot of years of my work by saying that I just have a natural aptitude for this kind of thing. But then you can't argue that people don't have natural aptitudes, because there's some people that can, you know, take a flight over a city and then draw it from memory. Like, I can't do that. That seems like a gift. I'm doing harsh light here. The difference between like strong light and harsh light is if you have like a cube expertly drawn by me, and something's casting a shadow on it. Like how harsh the shadow is. If you've got a really strong light that's very close and very accurate, the shadow on this cube is going to be really bold and pronounced. It's going to be like round here and then probably not much here. It's going to be like maybe like some spillover like that. Whereas if you've got light that's really far away and more diffused, then it's going to be a general sense of light on this side, general sense of light on this side, and then maybe a little bit of light on this side, but it's reflected light, so it's more coming from the corner downwards like that. So because the sun is really high in the sky for us, then it's a very high diffused light, which means that most of these objects, even though I've defined the edge really well like this on some of them, so for example like here you can see I've defined the edge, it's not actually going to end up that way. I'm going to smudge it out probably or something like that. Now I have to get rid of all of this because I put this on the one layer. I'll just rub it out. Why not? We're playing. Thank you for explaining this. I was wondering. Oh, no problem. So I'm going to go over. I'm just putting some light on there so you can kind of see. You can see where stuff is going to bounce. What I might do actually is I might color this light in a minute. The difference between, because there's light and refracted light, and refracted light is always it always kind of takes on a different property, because when the wave of light hits something and it reaches your eye, that's how you can see the color of something. But if a wave of light hits something and then hits something and then reaches your eye, the light has changed. The color of the light has changed because it's hit something else, which is why the dress is sometimes black and blue versus white and gold. You know, it's because the light is hitting something in a different way. So I might do a few passes of this kind of light map, because everything here is going to be diffused like quite a lot, so it's not going to be as harsh. And the temptation, I'll be honest, the temptation to do a nice bold shadow is fucking real. There's not going to be a lot of diffusion there because that's the dark wood. So these walkways are like dark wood walkways, so they're not going to be diffused very much. This is going to have a general level of diffusion, but I'm just putting this layer in first, this kind of layer of harsh light first, and then I'm going to go over again and smudge it all out. calm it all down a little bit. I am Bob Rossing it a bit. Just putting a little hint of something. There we go. It's very sketchy. Sketchy as in the technique I'm using, not like, have I bought this off a black market or something? See there, this is an archway, so this is actually going to have quite a bit of diffuse light up in this bit here. So it's the light's gonna come down, bounce, and then hit this archway really nicely. But we'll get to that. We're getting ahead of ourselves. All a process. There's a lovely gatehouse here. A line there. Have I missed anything? This is gonna be. It's gonna have a dark chunk on it, so I don't want this to be too light, but it does exist. It exists and it is its own thing, and we should. They're gonna be dark, so we're not gonna see them anyway. We are gonna see this thing, but it's gonna be more of a dome there. Cool. Now I want to just do a little bit more, but more opaque. Like that. So we're just giving a hint of more light. This is actually what I prefer. It's like a wetter gouache, you know, because this is, you can see the bristle strokes on, well, I say bristle strokes, obviously it's digital media. But you're going to see this. Let's just get rid of that, make that a bit more round. Leave a tiny line there. I always love seeing this when artists do this, is where they leave a tiny line to kind of separate. When you see, there's a really cool technique of doing shadow, which is where when it's a really bright shadow always has a color to it, because obviously it's like it's the absence of light, but shadow always contains, doesn't always, but when it's really bright, there's a lot of diffuse light everywhere, so you'll get really bright light on one side, and then even in the shadow is illuminated by diffuse light, and there's a tiny line. It's hard to explain, like when diffuse light, particularly on skin, when diffuse light and direct light hit, where it just glows like a if it's on skin, it's like an orangey red tone, but it's not a solid line, it's like slightly fuzzy. Oh, it just looks so cool. I'm not good enough for stuff like that, but I really like seeing it, really do. I mean, when I say I'm not good enough for stuff like that, I could do it, I just need to learn. That's the same with everyone else. So we're just doing this diffuse light at the back. Higher, the higher you go. So this is almost like a second layer of highlight, in the same way that I would do. I'm gonna go over and do shadow, and then I'll do a second layer of shadow. Digging the fingerless glove, huh? This is so that when I'm drawing on the screen, my fat, chunky hand doesn't smudge the screen. This is an effort in laziness, really. This is so that I don't have to keep cleaning my screen, cleaning my palm sweat off the screen. God damn my palm sweat, you know? Why do we need sweaty hands, really? What's the point of that? There we go. Getting there, aren't we? A lot of diffuse light down here, I think, from the water. It's not really a secondary light source either, it is proper reflected light, isn't it? Oh no, I smudged the ink. Wait, this is digital. Yeah. I don't think artists wear gloves to stop ink smudging. I don't think that would be effective. I haven't done any of this over here. Don't know what I'm going to do about that. I might just leave that. I might just not do it. I like working at distance, but foreground's going to be a trial for me, so we'll have to do it together. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You ain't seen nothing yet. Give me another 8 hours. Right, so that's light. Let's put some shadow in, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the shadow at something like, because it's going to be a bright day, so even the shadows aren't necessarily going to be that tense. We'll help you get through the foreground. Oh, thank you. We're in it together. That's how I like to see. So let's make it a really cool shadow, I think. Let's make it like a deep purple shadow. But I'm not going to make it too opaque. I want it to be. So that's quite an opaque shadow. Let's take this down to like 40, and then we can build it up, because it is based on pressure at the moment. So if I go really light, you can barely see it, and then I press harder and harder and harder, and that's the heaviest it's going to go. But if I want it darker than that, I'll just do the same thing and overlay them, and then there we go. We've got a dark shadow. The difficult part is when I'm doing strokes like this and get it really faint, and you see where those lines join up. You could end up with like a groggy shadow. But I really like the kind of stone texture you've got there, because that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a lot of stone here. I'll take the opacity up just to try and avoid that. And then I'll take the color intensity of the shadow down. Like that. Beautiful. Okay, let's see how this goes. So there's not going to be a lot of heavy shadow because it's quite a bright day. So the shadow that we're going to have is going to be definitive, and it's going to be bold and know who it is. So let's start putting stuff in, and then if I do it wrong, then I'll shut the stream down. And I'll walk away. I'll go and cry in a dark cupboard. Oh, I love the colour actually. Just remember though, this shadow is actually not going to be on this shade of blue, because this shade of blue is my mid-tone that I'm going to cover up with paint. Oh. The reason I put a bit of shadow down there is just to try and define it a little bit. These are actually hanging banners. So there's definitely going to be shadow behind them, because we want them to pop. The wee balcony here. This needs just a tad. Can't get it light enough with this pen, because it's a bit thick. I kind of intentionally want it to be a bit thick, because I want to be less precious about it. Then this one from the bottom heavy and then go lighter as we get to the top. This is slightly covered, so we'll do a shadow there. I'm living for this music. I feel like I should be giving an emotional speech right now. You can do it. You can shade. No, stay. Oh, don't worry. I'm not going anywhere. I will have a drink though. Who knew I'd be talking so much when I'm drawing? That's a bit dark. Just a tiny bit there. Say, we're not going crazy with the shadow because it's such a bright day. You don't want to lose that sense of that can be shadow, because that's nobody likes whatever that is. Nobody wants to see it anyway. This can be shadow because it's kind of out of the way of the rest of the picture, so we don't necessarily want this in focus too much. So if we shade it, and then when it comes to painting, we can we just make sure that there's not as much detail over on this bit. Which is, for me, it's a little bit counterintuitive because that's what I like to do. Like, I like to make everything quite detailed. So it is a bit of a trial for me to not just make everything look in focus. But that wouldn't work for this piece, I don't think. That's interesting, you can't really tell on the stream. It's so subtle on the stream. You can tell these big bits that I've put, like in the castle there, but I've intentionally done that because I kind of want that's going to be the focus of the picture, to draw your eye there. With some bits here. Like I say, not doing a lot of shadow on this one. We're actually going to use more diffuse light than we are shadow to make the 3D structures pop. Because light and shadow really do go hand in hand. Like you can use one, you can use the other, you can use both. Actually, if I was to put that background in a bit of shadow, that might actually help things along. I just really choppy, really loose. Just give it a bit of a scribble, and then we'll soften it up later. Because there's some tricks we can do as well, which is kind of, you know, it's one of the joys of working digitally is you can use things like multiply layers and luminosity layers that you know, they're kind of tricks of the trade where you don't have to necessarily do all the work. You can just, like for example, this is a purple now. If I was to set this layer to multiply, see there how they change, and it's just telling the software how to interpret the color on top of the color that it's on top of. So let's put it back to normal for now. Same with, if you do the same with the white layer, multiply doesn't work on a white layer because multiply is only adding dark to the previous layer, whereas if you were to use something like overlay and you overlaid on color, it would change the color, you know. It is cool. I'm going to show you some tricks, Hev. So one thing that I really like to do, particularly with portraiture, like character portraiture, I would do it more. I would put two light sources. I would usually put a red one and a blue one, so a cold one and a hot one. And then I'd put them to overlay. Look at that, that's much softer now. That's what we want. We want soft. We want We want delicate and subtle, like me. See, that's nice, isn't it? Now, the other thing that we're going to have a look at is the difference between warm light and cold light. Now, the warm light on this day is going to be a kind of a yellow. And I normally, again, with painting, see, with painting I'd mix the colours on the palette. So I wouldn't necessarily do these kind of lighting tricks. I'm worried that I'm falling into the same patterns that I used to fall into when making cartoons. Which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that. If I'm experimenting with new things, then it's better if I don't do that. What should I do then? So, I tell you what, for the purpose of the stream, let's just show you what a warm light and a cold light thing looks like. So if you're doing this, like say there's a bright light on one side, say there's a sunset over there, you know. And that's why we're going to go down one side with it like that. The sunset is up here, it's on its way down. Yeah, that's a new layer, so I can just delete that layer afterwards. So there you go. Do that. It's not so much on there, but it is. Sunset's on this side, so everything that's on this side, we're just gonna give it that kind of red tint, you know. There you go. But then you've also got a cold light, a secondary cold light, coming from the opposite direction. So let's do this one, which is over here. Coming down, up from the water. So you've got blue up from the water here. So all of these sides are going to be blue. Got some blue here. You might have some maybe down there. If you're using a secondary light, you wouldn't necessarily... You'd have a lot of one light and a little bit of another, just to give it a hint of something. So swap back to red. Make sure that we've covered this, then a bit of this as well at the bottom. And then you want it to be bold in the places where it's going to be bold. So if the light's coming from up here, you want this to be bold. You want a little bit of this to be bold. You know, all of this at the side. And then the further away you get over here, if it is going to hit there, it's going to be very subtle, like very small bit there. Switch back to blue, have a look. What else can we do? Make this a bit bolder. Make this bolder. Bring it down this way. This side of that ramp, so have them right next to each other, these two different colours. And same with this there, so red and blue. And then, if you were to, I mean that looks pretty cool, but if you were to then, and also, yeah, pop it up here, under this archway there. Try and get it so that they meet relatively close by. And then you go, overlay. Overlay. And this works primarily if I was to now turn off that and paint. You'd do this the other way around, you'd paint the colours first, but if I was to just paint a very basic flat colour, like it's stone, so let's do this. So all of this is one colour. And then change it to a yellow sandstone colour. That's so you've got your primary and your secondary light source. See how it's kind of giving it that 3D effect? I have like a darker brown for the roofs up here. I'm getting terribly distracted. But I love exploring techniques like this. There you go. Brown, we'll have a brown for this little balcony thing. Little window. Then choose the same brown for the door. introduce? And then you'd play with the levels, so you'd like, okay, I'm gonna tone. I'll tone this red down. Like that. Making a bit lavender. There we go. And then the blue. Blue could be quite bright. There you go. It's kind of like, it's a quick and like I've zoomed out so you can't see it very well. It's just a quick and dirty way of getting like this really dynamic lighting thing. Like if you look at the towers on one side, they've got blue. You've got this really cool 3D effect. Like that's kind of like cave water. You know, like if you were looking in like a mystical cave and the water was, there was like blue, like bright blue was reflected, and it reflects onto the rock. It's also brilliant for texture, because all I've done there, I haven't done any other painting beside the red and the blue. So the red and the blue are creating that texture. That's just a flat colour underneath. If I turn this off, if I turn those off, it's just all one colour. So yeah, that's that. Let's get rid of those. that was just to show you a funky trick. So yeah, we'll do some. I want to do some secondary light, but what I'm going to do first, I'm going to continue with these flats. So if we put this on, ooh, that shadow's a problem, isn't it? So where do I put that shadow? Is that underneath there? Like that? Let's change it to normal. Just to multiply. Take it down to. Well, that's interesting. It's the color layer. The color layer is not very solid. Okay. Must be this brush then. Let's turn opacity back up. Or should we just start painting? Put opacity to 90. Let's just start painting. Oh. I haven't decided how these are going to look yet, but let's just start getting a bit messy with it, shall we? This is really cool. So this brush, you see how I've got two colours down here? I've got brown and I've got white. Depending on the pressure that I put on, we'll mix the two colours together, right? So if let's go really opposite. Let's go yellow and purple. So there we go. Purple mixed to yellow, back to purple. You see how it's like blending that brown, that kind of plum colour? If I was to do classic combo, a blue and a yellow, what colour is this gonna make? It's gonna make green! Blue and yellow, blue and yellow. Isn't that cool? That's so good. So if I was to mix two colours together, so say this sandstone's going to be a little bit darker. Say it's like there. As like a base colour, we're going to go there. And then we're going to snatch that and then just make that a little bit warmer. And go in. You just automatically, you can't see it at the moment, but you get this texture. Just as you're painting, just as you're kind of manipulating other brushes. I'm going to have to switch to a smaller brush actually for painting. I just wanted to show you that because I think it's really cool. Right, I'm going to have to turn opacity right to the top to get this sorted because we need to get some flats down first. Get some flats, some Rascal Flats. An American band. Did some country music. Well, I'm not sure if it's country music actually. I'm not sure if you call Rascal Flats country music. They did a song called Roll With Me, and I think that's the only song that I know of. Roll with me. You know, at some point I have to turn around and go, I know that people normally don't do it this way, but it's my style. I'm doing what I want. The end result is normally good, I think. Normally good. Don't like to toot my own horn, but I like to think it's normally okay. That's not right. Let's snatch that. Go back in there. Snatch that again. Snatched! Oh god, I'm not looking forward to doing the clouds. Just realised I should have done them first if I was doing actual painting techniques. Looks like we're gonna have to cheat and do some digital art trickery and use layers. That's alright though. I love me a good layer. Right. I'm so tempted to just do the detail work on this castle, because I really like how this castle looks. It's called the Aft Castle. Isn't that cool? Because it's like a piratey thing. But I feel like I should probably do this as a base for everything else first. Because at some point I'm gonna have to bring this picture together, aren't I? So I might as well do it as I go. Like lay this foundation down and then I can start being a bit more specific later on. Can't stay long, but it looks like you're making really good progress. You've also got your animated banner working, I see. Oh yeah! Look at that! Now it looks like I've got more than a few followers. Thanks for joining, Fish. Glad you could join. Don't worry about not being able to stay long. I'm only going to be going up for probably another hour yet. And honestly, I've spent the last... I don't know how long I've been streaming. How long have I been streaming? I spent the last 1 hour and 11 minutes dicking around. Just doing some lighting stuff. Possibly stuff that isn't going to make it in the final piece, who knows. Just doing some experimentation. But you're more than welcome to stay around for as long as you want. Did you have a good Saturday night? We just did our social gaming and played Among Us and Jackbox. There we go. These aren't staying these colours. Don't worry, anybody. Anybody? Everybody. Don't worry anybody. And everybody. It's just a little bit of me playing around, laying out some foundation. Getting a bit silly. Oh, let's get rid of you. I love how the rock pieces on these like cliff faces, like in the game, even though they're rocks, they're very like organic rocks. They're like rounded. They've got rounded lines and stuff. They've got layers, which is really nice to see. Nice to see in a rock. I love a rock with layers, like an ogre. I'm gonna go over all of this again in a slightly lighter shade. Like I say, like I was not kidding when I said this is occupational therapy for me. I will go over the same piece again and again for hours and hours, and I'm quite happy to do so. These rocks are going to be a different colour as well. I just want a bit of definition in them, you know. Yeah, that can stay as it is. Rock, making it look like a rock. There we go. Cut that in. So we're cutting the edges and stuff, so there's a bit more like. It wasn't too bad actually. Ended up starting my stream later than I wanted to, so a little tired. Ended up wrapping up around 2-3 AM. My word, yes, jolly tired, I imagine. You will be a rock. This is a rock. What a rock and roll all night. Gaming was good. By Buff Wizard, who is in the chat, joined us for some Among Us. And we did Chatbox, which was jolly nice. Final Fantasy 14, which is where this picture is inspired from. We didn't do too long on that, but yeah, it was lovely. I'm pleased that I get to play games with my community, my stream community. That's a huge pleasure to me. Lockdown has had an effect on everyone, but I'm quite a social person. A little bit difficult to have to go through it without that connection. That's actually what made me start streaming in the first place. I didn't know you had your own stream actually. Let me go follow you. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt my stream for a second to follow one of my chat people. Oh, I need to do something for when I hit 100 followers. I've got 90 followers, so I need to do something. There you are. Yes, I'm going to go to your account and click. Where's your follow button? There it is. There it is. Follow. There we go. Cool. Hopefully, I will catch you next time you're on. I can't promise that I'm going to be on at 3 o'clock, but I will try and catch you next time you're on. Ooh, my stream. Get rid of that. I've actually met a lot of the people that I play games with now through streaming, which is lovely. Like Angel and Hev and Jay. It's a lovely community, isn't it? I think it's probably aided by the fact that you get to speak to people, like actually have a conversation with people. Unless I'm playing Overwatch and then I don't actually talk to anyone. I just get salty. Because I'm essentially a boomer. I'm a boomer with nice hair. 33 years old. I might as well be dead. That's the building. I'm having to remind myself what I've actually drawn. Let's go up to the top there, where that grass is, because I reckon that's going to be cute as hell. Do you ever fall in love with a piece of your painting? Like, I just love this archway. Like, forget everything, I just love the archway. Sorry. I've completely forgotten how to interact with other human beings. Once things open up again, it'll be interesting to brush off the rust. And thank you. Oh, you know, you're entirely welcome. It's just a Minecraft right now. It's just Minecraft right now, but I'm trying to find my way to fill my painting sessions. Yeah, I suppose that's interesting. There's a bunch of my artist friends here in Sheffield that started streaming their art, but when I say artist friends, they're not like typically artists. They, like, for example, Dozy, who I can't remember her handle right now. It's like Dozy Streams. She's a tattoo artist, so obviously tattoo artists are going to be struggling at times like now, so she started to stream tattooing of, I think it's like the fake pig skin that you can get, and she's way popular and she's way good as well. Like watching her, it's just certain people, like you put them in front of a camera and they just do really well. And I'm a performer, so this actually scratches multiple itches for me. Because I can't do any stand-up or improv or drag or anything like that. So I'm happy to be able to stream. I think I was saying yesterday as well that like I'm streaming at the moment is I'm streaming stuff that used to be very private to me, like playing games and making artwork. I normally wouldn't stream something like that or show people that, but I'm having a good time doing it. Happy that I'm doing it. What I want to do now is I want to take this and bluify it and see if that's going to work. If that's a bit too colourful, let's try and purplify it so get some of those warmer tones in, and then maybe let's see how far away this blue is to what we've just got here. So let's take the hex code, do that. Alright, so if we go there and then somewhere slightly warmer red tone. Oh, come on, play ball, Mr. Stylus. Right there. See how this looks. Or should we just stick with the dark blue? Hang on, let's zoom out. No, let's do it with the dark blue. Stick with that blue. You know what? We picked something. It worked. Let's not rock the boat. Is that a bush that I've drawn there? I just can't remember. Can't remember what I've done with it. I like this dark line. I want to use the contrast to convey distance, but I really like that dark line. Normally you wouldn't define like the hill like that. It'd get like darker as it goes down. So that's what I might do a bit later on once we return to this part of the picture. I might make it... Oh, no, that's wrong. I might make it a bit darker as you go down. But I'm purposely doing all this on one layer. Oh, finding specific parts of paintings you like is a great way to find inspiration. Yeah, my next piece is probably just going to be this archway, like on its own. I'm not sure how to do it digitally, but if you get a little square with a hollow center and move it around your canvas, you'll see all sorts of little works of art. That's what we used to do in college. We did that. We did the art window. Oh, it's funny you just reminded me of that. I remember that was a whole session at one point. I suppose you'd do it the same digitally as you would now. I suppose really the viewport itself is that little box. You see how I'm manipulating the navigator? I suppose you could just do it that way and then be like, okay, how do we define this section? If I'm painting, that's how I'd normally work. I would normally go section by section and try and define everything. Another cool thing you can do after you've done a little bit of painting is turn the sketch layer off and see if you can tell what it is yet. Do a little bit of a Rolf Harris. So if I zoom out so you can see the whole piece and then turn that off, like see how much of it is like, oh okay, it's kind of coming together, I can recognize this, I don't know what this is over here, I know what this is over here, I can kind of see it, so I know that that's getting closer. This needs a little bit more defining, like you can just kind of bring it in, because obviously ideally you would not, the final piece wouldn't need a sketch layer to define it, it would just be teeny weeny arts. Yeah, thumbnail arts. An artist friend of mine, well actually it was a partner of a friend of mine, used to do postcard art. Where they would just make a tiny, not even postcard actually, it was usually more like business card art. It was really cool because they would individually create their business cards with a small watercolor painting. I have it somewhere. I don't know where I've kept it. Oh, see, I'm so bloody easily distracted. I didn't even finish off this real look at the coastline before I started to work on other things. You want the kind of higher rocks to be rounded, I think. So that makes the most sense to me. I don't know if that marries very well. That line. Because in the picture these two rocks aren't connected, but they're being blocked by this little tower, so the viewer could easily assume that they are connected. And I'm okay with that assumption if that's the assumption they want to make. It's not up to me to control people's assumptions, is it? There's like a couple of rocks in the background over here actually, so let's just get one of them in and it adds a bit more for the eye to get lost in. Oh, that's actually part of that rock. Wahaha, there you go. See, look, you're not laughing, you're learning. That was a bit more interesting, didn't it? I'm probably going to do these bridges last, actually, because they're quite... Let's save it. I'll probably do the bridges last, because they're like a dark wood. So they're not going to reflect a lot of light, so we don't need to worry too much about the shadows on it. But they are dark, so they are going to be the things that stands out the most. All of the wooden pieces, so that like this part of the castle, for example. Oh, that's in brown. All like that part of the castle, like all of these kind of wooden bits here. That's a wooden bit. The bridges, they're all wood. So they're gonna be the darkest point of the picture, and quite rightly so. I actually feel like that's. Oh, these roofs are also quite dark as well, so they're gonna be dark. So I'm probably gonna leave them till last. So you know what? Let's just start. Oh, I need to do the sky though. I want to do really sweeping gradients on the sky, but I've kind of shot myself in the foot, really. But we could cheat. So let's cheat. Let's find a lovely big brush. What's that? Nope. That. Nope. You don't want the sky to be dry. You want the sky to be nice and wet. Moist sky. That's quite wet. Might take us a while to do it like that, but let's see what we can do. So the sky that I'm looking at is largely the same colour. I'd say it's got higher luminosity at the shoreline, and it does go darker blue, but the difference is so minor. It's probably this plus or minus what's the term? Plus or minus hue. So like we'd take this and move this. What? Come on. See, I've lost it now. My stylus, when I put my stylus on the thing, it instantly thinks it's doing a long press. For some reason that function is not turning off. So let's go up here and make it slightly darker. Let's lay some of this colour down. We'll do something with it in a minute, but we'll just lay it down. You also don't want the sky to be too uniform. So we don't want it to just be like a straight line, that's the sky. We're going to mix some stuff up and make it a little bit a little bit rounder, kind of down here, maybe down here, because the clouds are going to affect this as well. And then we want to snatch this colour again and then go lighter with it, so just a little bit lighter. Come on, grab the colour. There you go. And make it more luminous at the bottom, see? Don't worry, I know I'm drawing over everything I've just done. I promise it'll be alright. Then we want this up here maybe. Actually, come to think of it, we need this to go a little bit higher and cut through some of this, because the sun is, I'm putting the sun a lot higher in the sky as I did, as is in this reference picture, so kind of want this to be a little bit more of a jumble. Now, let's see what blenders we have. Could be this one. Not that one. This one. Not that one. The blenders. Let's try the actual blend tool, right, which is that one. No, that's dodge. Is it hidden in this thing now? No. Eyedropper. Tell you what, guys, thank God you've got a Photoshop expert on hand. Dodge. That's a smudge. Smudge might have the blend tools in. Click. Oh, that's not mixing at all. What have we got? Can we smudge via wet media? Like this. Will this work? No, that's just switched the brush completely. Blender, here we go. Oh, this is the Impressionist blender though, so I'm gonna get a... That's not gonna work, it's gonna look like a fucking Van Gogh. I don't want to be manipulating the brush settings on these things. Wet blender maybe. That might work, we just need it a little bit bigger. Like this. So we're gonna try blend up and out. See what this does to the sky. You can always sort it out afterwards. This is all in aid of experimentation here. Because when you do shit like this, you end up with something. Oh. What's funny is, even though this is a layer which is much higher, I'm surprised that that's worked. So we want to even out this light area with the dark area, but you don't want to do it too much because you don't want to lose the thing that you're really enjoying with this. Like the fact that you've got this like really nice texture. The only thing is the direction. I'm not sure the direction's working for me. It'll be counterintuitive to the direction of the light, which is coming down. It works. It would work if the light was lower and redder, and it would be like a sunset. That would work really well if it was on the horizon. But right now the light's really high. So we'll be telling them with the light and the shadow that the light is this way, but we're telling them with the sky that the light is that way. So it might make people a bit uncomfortable. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to see if we can manipulate some of these shapes into clouds. So keep the direction of where the lighter thing is going. But break up those lines that are causing that sunbeam. Definitely worth remembering. I like watching Michelangelo. Thank you very much. I like to think of myself as one of the great traditional artists. Definitely worth remembering that technique of that explosion, because that would make a lovely, like an African sunset. That would be really cool if you were to do something like that. But I'm really impressed. This tool just looks like it's making clouds. I want to put some splashes of white in here actually. But I need a better, let's put a better canvas in. Get rid of, so strokes like this where the direction's a bit too steep. And bring this lightness up again, like that. That looks great. Look at that. It's a bit too muddy up here. Let's kind of even that out. Gosh. Oh guys, we've done really well. Well done everybody. I knew we could do it. It looks really grand actually, that's what I was kind of going for with this piece, is to, let's bring that down again, just to build another cloud there, to kind of add to this grandeur, because that darkness is really helping, but we need to build the lightness up almost to help make the grandness stand out. Gosh, I'm really happy with that. Really happy with that. Bring that across. Just a bit too obvious there. Oh, what's this? Oh, Mum and Grandma have got the flowers that I ordered for them, so that's nice. I'll give Mum a call in a bit. I wanted to get the film out of the way first. I feel terrible, but I'm just like, I want to do this. I want to paint a bit, and then I want to, and then I'll watch the film with Sloth, and then I'll call my mum. I'm like adminning my Mother's Day. I'll call Mum and I'll call Grandma in a bit. I really want to do some clouds, but that looks really nice. You know what I might do? I might oh, let's just go nuts, you know? Let's go nuts. Let's get an off-white. Let's put it here. Put them lower down like that. Oh, we need an actual brush. Oh, sorry. Get an off-white. Over here. Not too much. Because I actually feel like I know what's going to happen. Very excited for it. But this is just experimentation. If I go again, back to this brush, and then we press this button here that says sample all layers, which means that what it should do is it should look at the color that I'm mixing and mix it with the color beneath all of the layers that are on top, that are underneath. You ended up sending a tea care passage for Mother's Day a week early because I'd forgotten on the day. I'm sure they enjoyed it. Like, it would be nice, wouldn't it? I think I'd enjoy it. Right, so it's taking a bit longer, you can see, because it's having to sample a lot more of the underside there. I'm just snatching the white. Where'd that dark come from, do you think? Oh, unless it's sampling the brush as well. So if we do that same colour as that, let's see if that works. And actually I'm going to add a bit more white here just to make sure they've got enough. So just to give you an idea, normally I would, if it's a cloud, I would have something like that, and then I would sample the sky, take it down to maybe like 20%, and then just put something over the top like that. Like that's like a cartoony cloud. Like that would work. But we don't want to go cartoony, guys. We want to be a real painter with real thoughts and real feelings. So let's try and be sensible about it. I can't remember what that was. That was 80%. Let's put it 80%. So let's see what happens. I kind of want to leave small clouds at the bottom like here, Normally there'd be like small clouds here. I don't know if I want to just have small clouds there and have no clouds anywhere else. But we'll see. We'll have a play. So let's go back to our blender. Let's make it very big. And let's wish ourselves luck. So if we push from the bottom here... No, that didn't work at all. Problem is, you're kind of losing the straight line. I don't know how we can save that with this. It kind of works. I just wish that there was more brightness underneath. Do you reckon we just need to add layer on layer on layer with this? Like that. That might work actually. So let's just add layer on layer. And we can define some better clouds like lower down. I really like, you know, this really bright cloud here. I really like that. What I need to do is I need to have that cutout shape. That's what I want. So let's see if we can see if we can get this working here. I don't think I can get the cutout shape that I want just from doing that because it's gonna blend. Like that. Just keep playing around with it anyway. Because that's all you can do, right? You can just have an experiment. I love the drama. Try and get some of that chunky brush stroke at the end. Switch back. Push up. Let's connect those. Should we try and connect those two? So the light's obviously coming from like a particular direction, but let's try and connect those two like that. I like how directionless they are. I like how floaty, wispy they are. I'm not sure if they appropriately tell the viewer where we want them to look. So let's try and bring the let's try and follow the V shape and point. So let's try and point the clouds into where the castle is, which means we want them to get smaller down here. It's smaller towards where the coast is, because that's going to imply that they're further away. I'm happy to leave. I might diffuse some of this paint effect up here just so that we get more of a sense of a clear blue sky rather than it just being covered in clouds, which at the moment it feels like it's a bit covered in clouds. I nip away from it to put away the chopping. This has changed dramatically. You're doing an amazing job. Thank you, Hev. We're currently exploring clouds. We're having a hashtag lovely time on clouds. I want them to go bigger up here. Get some brightness in, like a big chunk of brightness here. And then up here as well. We'll actually have them coming from behind that hill. You kind of can't go wrong with clouds, really. It's just a case of making sure they match the piece. Because again, this is gonna get, this line is gonna get covered. There's a lot of this that you're not actually gonna see, so it's kind of all right if they're a bit wishy-washy. Just getting rid of that underneath harsh line makes such a difference, doesn't it? Like if you look there, look at that. Try and do it with the top as well. Just make it like a really thin experience for that cloud. I've purposely not changed the brush size to a larger one either, so we've got that really tight control thin line, which ironically for a cloud you don't necessarily want. It looks a bit mountainous, doesn't it? We might have to add another shade of blue. Push that up there. Ooh, I love that. Oh, I do love that. Get rid of that sporadic harshness there. Alright, we're doing well. I want to add a bit more definition to here, just to bring it up. And then maybe this bit. Swap back, give that a bit of a push, a bit of a blend. And then this one as well. It's a bit too much. Go. And then I like that this cloud is so big. I do kind of want to diffuse the bigness a little bit. Just because it doesn't quite match the rest here. There, that's nice and wispy. That's a wispy cloud. You have a really wonderful way of planning and working through problems. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. It's just a case of I didn't plan this at all. This is just me going like, huh, what will work? Yeah. But now the fun thing is, so now look at all the shades of blue that we've created just by mixing this. We started with 1, 2, 3, and all of a sudden we've got this really lovely mottled sky. So down here you can see it's still pretty plain, it's still pretty one color, and that's because I just painted it on. I didn't like spread it around too well. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna turn off sample all layers. Oh, sample all layers is off on this brush, so that's interesting. See how it's just taking the whites and the different colors and stuff? That's really cool. I didn't know that brush was doing that, but actually we need it to behave, so snatch that, put something in here. Again, it's doing some funky stuff sampling this thing. We just need a brush, really. Classic cartoon, this is going to be just a bit of colour that we can push around. So we want that at the bottom. We want a bit over here. And then we'll go back to our wet blender, make sure sample all layers is off, and then just slightly, see there, just pushing it up, adding a little bit of that texture to these bottom clouds. You're not going to see a lot of it. It's going to be really subtle. Push it up just a bit more. There we go. I think that'll do. We'll leave it for now. Actually, let's just tidy up some of this top, like I said. So we want to make sure that the sky looks like it's much clearer. Yeah, they're really nice. So we're going to sample our layers. Let's just tidy this up a bit. Oh, it's gone way dark, hasn't it? Don't know what we've sampled there, but it did not like it at all. That's interesting. I wonder if it's because of that colour. Let's try and push it to white and see if it keeps doing it. Oh, it keeps doing it. Okay. Well, try and work with it rather than against it. In fact, what we could do is just put a blob, this colour here, and then switch back to our blender and use that, push it around. Yeah, look at me bullying colour by pushing it around. Think you're all that, Mr. Colour? Well, you ain't. Little old me being able to push you around the canvas. Oh, it's because I'm not sampling all this. And then let's go a bit bigger. Oh, the music stopped. My word. What should we do now? Oh, it's paused. That's what it is. Oh, it's gone on to a jazz coffee house. Should we leave it on that? Poor colour. Oh, it's alright. You know, I should be kinder, because colour does a lot for us. Colour serves us in a way in which we don't quite appreciate, do we? It's just kind of... It's making it very dark, I don't know why. Let's try and bring this up. See, it's immediately going dark. No matter what colour I start on, it's going dark, so... But it still looks good. I'm still happy with that. So... Leave you. I want this colour to go into this colour. To calm it down a little bit. But it's just going really dark, isn't it? Oh well. You know what? We'll leave it. We're getting stuck on the detail at the moment, and we've got plenty more detail to do. So, I hear you cry. How are you going to solve this sky dilemma? So that's the there. That's the there. So we want to go Control E, flatten the layers. Now how are we going to make it so that the sky is on top of this without flattening all that lovely work we've done? Well, there's a few things we can do. Number one, we can do something called a layer mask. Layer mask is telling Photoshop that, or actually any masking thing, if you apply a mask, it's like cutting out a shape on a piece of paper and applying it over the top and saying, we either don't want to see what's in that shape, or alternatively, we don't want to see that shape, we want to see everything around that shape. So you'll notice my colours have gone straight to black and white. So I can get a brush and notice I'm drawing on the mask here. Oh god, cancel. That's a new thing for me. I need to lock that layer again. Right, so we're on the mask. Now, if I do this, you see how it's just completely... On the mask, it's black and white, but what I've done is I've said, everywhere that is black on this mask, on this layer, I do not want to show up anywhere else. So, we can now, using the layer mask, go in and cut everything out. So all of this lovely sky that we've just made, be able to see. Bit of a balls ache, but I like to do things a bit more ad hoc these days rather than be so stringent. Because the problem is, when you're so stringent on your process, you can end up stagnating. You have a style. There's so many artists that say, yeah, but it's my style. It's like, yeah, I understand that it's your style and it's unique to you, but style is not an excuse to be lazy. Style is not an excuse to go, well, I've peaked now and people are buying my product at this style, so why should I have to change? It's like, well, you don't have to change at all. But there will be someone out there who has a style that people will prefer over yours. And they might only get there through experimentation. So even though experimentation can sometimes mean that you're repeating the process or you're having to do work, you're having to do work to fix a problem. Like for example now where we're cutting out a mask for a sky, whereas if I'd have done that sky work before I'd started any other painting, I'd just be able to paint on top of it. But I didn't. I did something else. That's actually really handy with the mask tool. Is there a fem tool? Mask for mask tool. Sorry, that was bad. I really appreciate the way you explain what you're doing. Thank you. No problem. No problem at all. I like to teach, and I don't get the opportunity to do it these days. Also, there's not really much call for a class in Photoshop. Well, there is, but there's like night school courses that people take, you know. Maybe I should do that when the pandemic is over. Maybe I should do a night school course in. The good thing, so the reason why you want to use a mask is that it's non-destructive. I can apply this mask, but if I don't intend on flattening the layer, I actually don't need to. I can actually just leave it. And because this mask is always going to be the sky, what I could do, if I wanted to, I could switch to the painting layer underneath, and this mountain that's over here, if I wanted this to be like a bright purple, I could start painting it as a purple, and do you see that it's going underneath the mask? So if I've defined the sky, if I'd have made that sky more solid, which I still could do, I can just layer on layer on layer until the whole thing's solid, flatten it down, and then adjust the brightness so that it's as bright as it was before. Because if I make this solid at the moment, it's taking on a lot of the properties from the layers underneath. So, but yeah, because I'm applying this as a mask, if I wanted to, I could make it so that the mask is defining the skyline, so that I can go outside the lines, as it were, and not have worry. I'm probably going to do the same thing for the water, although the water is less of a worry because it's in the foreground, so it's naturally going to be avoiding everything that's in front of it. Yes. My intention, to be honest, once I've done this mask, is to flatten the sky layer and apply it to the lower layer so that I'm back to working on one layer, just because, again, as I said before, I know the techniques that I can do to speed things up and make it easier, but I learn a lot less about colour that way. Whereas if I'm going to be using these brushes, and these brushes are really nice brushes, if I'm going to be using them, I need to know what they're going to do to the colours on the canvas, so that I can get an idea of what they're going to do the next time I do a painting. And in order to do that, I either need to sample all layers, as you've seen, or I need to paint on one level. What I can do actually, and what I'm going to do just to save time, because I've only got about 20 minutes before I think Sloth's going to start his film, which I advise everyone, if they don't have anything to do that. Do you see how I'm creating this line? So down here at the mask, I'm not sure, I can't zoom in for you, I'm afraid, because I can only zoom in on the canvas. I can't do it on the screen. But down here where the mask is, you can see this black smudge. I'm actually creating a black line where the outline is. Because one thing that I can do is delete everything below that line. Because I know that everything below that line isn't supposed to have the sky on it anyway. And it means that I don't have to paint an outline of everything. This is some smooth jazz, huh? Gosh, I feel so relaxed. Prefer piano music, but beggars can't be choosers, can they? License-free music. So you see I'm cutting this line out now. Bam, bam, bam. I want to preserve all the lovely textures that we've made in that sky. So I don't want to chop too much away. I'm only cutting away the stuff that I absolutely desperately think that we don't need. And then we go, if I hold shift to get a straight line, we go down, we go across, and then we go up. And then you see on the mask, we're going to go bam, and then black. So you see the whole bottom half of that mask has now gone black. That means that that's where the sky is. Isn't that cool? Is that so handy? And then if I wanted to, so if I was going to be, oh, I've just noticed there's a part of the sky that I didn't notice before. If I Oh, I can't show you because I want a very specific overlay. So I don't have the art streaming on the other direction, so I can't move the camera. But yeah, there's part of the sky that I might need to retouch up, but that's not a problem. I can do it later. It's 1:30. I'll probably stop in about 10 minutes actually, and then I can get some lunch before watching Sloth's film. So what can we do in 10 minutes? Not a lot, but we'll keep going anyway. Have you thought about creating a little course on Skillshare or something similar? I think you do really well. Oh, I never thought about that. I suppose really, I'm kind of caught in the trap that a lot of artists get caught in by, like, I'm doing all of this stuff, but I actually don't think that I'm doing anything revolutionary. Like, this is stuff that I've just learned over the years from doing illustration. And I think that part of me in my head would be like, I probably shouldn't run some kind of course because someone else probably knows more than me and can do it better. Like, there's certainly better artists out there than me. But that's the wrong thing to think, because there's always going to be someone who can do something like better. Yeah, imposter syndrome. I suffer from imposter syndrome terribly. I'm a UX designer. In my day job, I started as a junior designer. I used to work at Lush and I used to work at Class Olson, working in retail, and I would do freelance illustration to help supplement my income. And drag performance, I could be a performer and get paid a bit for that and stuff. I just like do gig economy, I suppose you'd call it. But then I started working in customer service because the work in art dried up, so I needed a job. Thanks, Tories. So I started working in customer service. They happened to just say, hey, we've got a design position and we can see you've got freelance experience. So I went into a junior design position, then a digital design position, and now I'm a UX designer, which is entirely different to all of this, which is why I don't mind painting now, because in my day job, I'm used, Adobe XD and making prototypes and wireframes and data-driven design and all of that. So this is the visual medium that really got me into art, really. The more I look at those clouds, the more that I'm like, just tweet that. I need to leave them alone for now, and then maybe work on them later if I feel like it. But every time I've moved up in the position from into junior designer, I had imposter syndrome because I was a customer service person and freelance artist. I wasn't a designer. When I moved from junior designer to digital designer, I felt a bit like an imposter because I didn't have a lot of HTML, CSS, PHP experience or mobile design experience, which a lot of digital designers do. And then moving from digital design into UX design, I didn't have a lot of experience in UX design when I started, so again, I felt like I was faking it until I make it. Which is fine. I just feel like at some point someone's going to turn around and go, actually, you're chatting a bit of bullshit, aren't you? Which people have every right to do, but not doing something based on what you're worried that other people are going to think of you then. Just had a notification saying kick me in the balls. I'm just going to remind you to hydrate instead. The reason why I have kick me in the balls, I'll turn it on. So when you kick me in the balls,
this happens to my voice. I have like a voice modulation and the screen changes colour. It's really funny when, if we're doing like Overwatch and I'm getting really salty or something like that, someone kicks me in the balls and all of a sudden I'm like, why are you shooting from behind there? Why is nobody healing me? I should be like, where? And it just sounds really funny when I'm doing it in like a really high pitched voice.
So that's kick me in the balls, and then I've got one called Woodstock, which makes everything really trippy. So like the colours change and my voice goes really deep, and I'd love to do like more visual effects like that, but I don't have it right now. Currently I only have high and low, so and it triggers automatically because I have a Stream Deck just down here that I can use to turn on and off, but it listens for channel point redemption through the chat, and when it gets a certain keyword, it passes it through to Stream Deck, which then manages the filters on the OBS stuff. It's really handy working in tech, like as a designer, being able to do stuff like this myself. And it's also loads of fun. Like I think I mentioned yesterday that my brother's stream with me, so... Oh, would you look at that? Sorry, I'm just looking around this area where I've painted a cliff, which isn't in the sketch. You've got a really good setup. Thank you very much. I've noticed there's some lag, so I think I have to look at some different rendering. I've actually been looking at whether or not I want to use a separate PC for streaming and just getting like a cheap laptop and doing that, but it looks like it would be a lot of hassle. So I might do it. I might just see if I can improve the stream's rendering. I noticed last night there's a bit of lag, and the only thing from the metrics, I've got MSI Afterburner up, so I can always see the metrics, but the only thing that I can see which might be affecting it is the heat of the graphics card, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about that. I can get another fan into the system, another 2 fans, but I don't think it's enough. Like the graphics card that I've got, it's a Ryzen 7 or something. It's a really high-end one, but one of the known issues with it is that it doesn't have a very high, well-performing fan. So if I can get some of the GPU process away from this system and onto, say, a laptop whose only job it is to render the 3D in stream, if it has to render the 3D, I think it's probably just going to output a video anyway. So I might do that. And I've had quite a few people consistently subbing, so like the stream's making a bit of money, and I'm not in it for the money, but if I get money, then I can funnel it back into buying devices for the stream. So, you know, I've looked at a new camera instead of this one, which doesn't. This one jumps around a little bit like jitters, whereas if I can get a new camera, it won't do that. I've already got some stream lights. I'm not sure if you've seen them. This is great. I'm not sure if I've shown you guys this. So if I do that, and I do let me just close the blind, and then it's dark. Okay, watch this. This is great. Ready? Okay, Google. Turn on the studio lights. Isn't that cool? It makes it look like I'm sitting in front of a green screen with the colours that I've used, but RX 5700 XT. I've been admiring that PC you have in your description. Still working with the integrated graphics on your R5 2400G. Once prices come down again, you'd like to upgrade. Isn't that so cool? Like the lights are so cool. I need one more. I want one more light for this side. I think I want like maybe a red or green light for this side, but it's going to be a lot more subtle. But I've got 2 strip lights that are in the cupboard that are shining against the wall, so it's making it look really cool. And then there's a blue light. I've got like a lamp that's just pointing at the cupboard. I'm dead giddy about those. I love showing off those things because it took me ages to... I've actually got command strips holding the strip lights on a piece of cardboard on the back of the cupboards. And it's slightly away. The reason why it's slightly away from the wall to create that shadow effect is because of the lights. I might leave these... Yeah, I'll leave them on. Why not? I'll leave them on, but then I will open the window again. Get some daylight in. We don't get enough daylight these days. Actually, I think that's probably a good place to leave it because I need some lunch before Sloth does his film. But we can stay in chat for a bit. Oh, no, we don't want to. We need to save. Save, please. Thank you. Don't just scorch the earth. I'm really happy with those clouds, guys. Though we've done really well with that. You'd like to learn all the technology stuff one day. I'm kind of the millennial age where I grew up when this thing was all coming in. So I think I'm probably on the cusp of not understanding things going forward. Let's just go back to this and then we can have a look at it. I really love those clouds. I think we're gonna have to work really hard to make sure that the flats that are there match the style of those clouds in terms of how they paint. But I'm very excited to do that experimentation because I think it's going to be gouache. I think it's going to be blended on canvas. And the water's going to go, I want it to go really quite dark actually, especially towards the edge, and then have a streak of light where the sun's going to be. That's the idea that I've got in my brain. You've got to keep up. oh, you really quickly get left behind when it comes to tech. Yes, well, precisely. And I think in other areas, so like, I'm very good at tech, but when it came to streaming, I had to do a lot of education. Like, I had to do a lot of learning about different aspects of how encoders work and stuff. And I still wouldn't say that I know enough, because obviously the stream, I don't think the stream is terribly optimized. I say not knowing how to paint digitally. Honestly, that's something that you just kind of have to force yourself to get into if it's not something that you do. If you're used to physical media, like I said yesterday, the working on a flatbed tablet, like a bamboo. I don't have it in here, but I had like a bamboo tablet, which is one that sits on the desk and you draw, and having that disconnect between looking at the monitor, so looking up but drawing, not looking at what you're drawing, really, really difficult. And I can't actually say that I got it 100%, but I used it, and then when it came to getting the Cintiq was just a quality of life thing for me. It wasn't, I didn't have to relearn how to use Photoshop, it was just a case of being able to use those tools a lot easier. But you've got to take the plunge, and I think I would probably tell anyone, learn the software first. The peripherals don't really matter, whether or not you use a pen tablet down here or whether or not you use a monitor tablet like I've got. They're really cheap nowadays as well. You can get a much bigger one with a much higher definition screen for about the same price as mine, for about the same price as what I paid for mine. I just I get really comfortable with my tools, so I'd have to look into what I would buy if I was to switch up from this Cintiq, or if this Cintiq eventually dies on me. And I'll be honest, it's, let's see, it's 9 or 10 years old now, this piece of tech, so I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years it just gave out on me. And then I'd have to make a decision to be like, do I do enough art to justify getting another monitor? Huion seems to be doing really well. I think. So when in my last gig, I actually convinced them to buy me a tablet, saying like, we're doing a lot of drawing and it would be really faster if I could go home and do it on my tablet. And they were like, this tablet you're talking about, what is it? And I'm like, oh, it's one of these. And I linked them the Cintiq, and they were like, we're not spending that much money. And I'm like, okay. And then I had a look to see how much it would be to get something cheaper, like not name brand, because obviously Cintiq is Wacom's name brand. And they had an X Pen one on Amazon, which was like 200 quid, and it was a bigger screen. The only problem was it wasn't a tooth. This is a tooth screen, so it feels like paper, whereas that one is just a flat screen, which is kind of like, it's like drawing on an iPad. It's just really smooth, and you don't get that tactile feel, which does make a difference, surprisingly enough. But they bought it, which is why I have this glove. I actually stole it from my last job, so I hope nobody from my last job is watching. And that was, I think, £300, and this Cintiq cost me £750 when I bought it. So they are getting cheaper. The tech is getting cheaper. It's just whether or not someone has that much money to invest in drawing, because when I was drawing for a living, I didn't have that much money to invest in drawing. I mentioned yesterday I used my student loan to buy it. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what people do now with the tech. I'm not sure what I would get. A friend of mine has one of those big 27-inch Cintiqs. Yeah, maybe later. If this breaks now, I'd have to wait a long time before I could replace it. And I'm in like a full-time gig, you know. It's just because it's what you can justify spending and saving on. Like, I've got a car that needs replacing, so I think that I'd have to throw money at that before I threw money at a new Cintiq that I draw on maybe 2 or 3 times a week. If that. I'm going to draw on it more now that I've got my art streaming overlay and I can stream like in an afternoon. I'll be doing a lot more painting and drawing and stuff, but yeah, I'd have to really consider whether or not I'd replace this kit. I probably would. I don't like being without it. Also, I end up winning at Drawful. Like, it gives me an edge up on Champed Up and Drawful on all those Jackbox drawing games. and I'm too competitive not to win. Although I didn't win yesterday. I wasn't funny yesterday. I was very not funny yesterday. But I was friendly, so that's fine. I took a night off being funny because I figured other people would like the chance to win. I decided not to win, really. Elite strategy, yeah, fair. I decided that I didn't want to win. Yeah. You've got to let other people be able to take part, otherwise, they won't come back. And I'm very conscious of that. I want people to come back to my stream and have a good time, and watch me win all the time. And then every now and then I'll let other people win. I'll let other people be funny. Not often. Like, don't expect it all the time. But I'll just snatch. I'll be like, funny, that's mine, thank you very much. That's where I get all my ideas from. I actually absorb them from other people. Like a vampire, like a comedy vampire. I'm gonna go on Twitter just to make sure that Sloth is starting at 2. Because we can just chat until it's all ready. Mine now. I steal all the funny, that's what I do. That's why I go to so much comedy all the time. I just sit in the audience, just absorb all the funny. Sloth hasn't posted yet, so I'll have to wait. It's only around 2 o'clock. I used to do a lot of comics. Actually, let's see if my old webcomic is still live. That's something for you guys to take a look at if you want to. It's called www.thediarycomic.com. No, it's gone. Look at that. Is this a live gig I'm waiting for? No, so a friend of ours called The Broken Sloth on Twitch. I'm trying to find his. It is just The Broken Sloth. Yeah, there he is. www.twitch.tv/The Broken Sloth. On Sundays, Sloth does Shite Cinema Sunday, where, like last week, he did Titanic 2, which is awful. It starred Dick Van Dyke's son and Dick Van Dyke's grandson, and it's just such a bad film. Like a bad film. Oh yeah, the Wayback Machine. That's a good idea. Let's have a look. So, Wayback Machine, the Internet Time Machine. James uses this all the time. All the time machine. HTTP www.thediarycomic.com. I pay for this. I'm sure I paid for the domain of this. Oh, apparently it went down in 2019. Whoops. Okay, let's have a look. Snapshot on June. You don't have permission to access on this server. Oh no, I don't have permission for my own website. To be honest, I stopped updating it shortly after uni, so that's fine. I don't mind that. I still have the comics, they're just not online anyway. It's struggling, but it is trying. Oh my god. There you go. Well, this is one of the comics anyway, so let's see if I can actually explore the site. Yes, they're all there. That's way cute. This was years ago. 2015. So 6 years ago I used to do the diary comic. Got a bunch of them. And I made the website for it as well, so it's all like the whole hand-drawn thing I really like. I used to do them once a week, and they started because I had some webcomics. I had some webcomics up. Tanago Makes 3 is such a lovely wee book. Oh yeah, the latest one. If you go into the archive, you'll see a bunch more. But I used to make comics that would take me about 12 hours to do, and that's more in relation to how not unskilled I was, but like I was still quite early on, and I was still experimenting with a lot of different styles. So they looked okay. Like eventually, I started to be able to do them a lot quicker. So when they start to go in like full color and stuff, that's where I'm like I start to learn how to do things faster. But the first ones, they were just felt tip pen on a piece on like an old pad that I had. Oh, the domain has expired, that's why. Why did the domain expire? That's a bit daft. It should do it automatically. You know what, I'll look into it because it's a cute little comic thing. Also, I think I'm still paying for it. So I'll have to have a look into it. Perhaps it was attached to an old card. Oh, that's the T. Yeah, my card switched over in February. You have to go to a meeting now. Love and hugs. No worries, Hev. Thanks for joining. They look lovely. Well, yeah, thank you. They're kind of cute. They were just something that I did whilst I was in uni to keep me busy. But you can it's interesting to see it because you kind of see the advancement of me going from like felt tip pen to paper to scanning things in and coloring them and then using. And what's funny is I started those in uni, so I was definitely making comics. I was making comics in like when I was like 16, 17, so a long time ago. And then I regressed in uni, but I think the reason I regressed in uni was because I wanted to just do something quickly. I didn't want to have to faff around with Photoshop and stuff and do all of that I need to do to get everything right in order for it to look good. I stopped caring about how polished it was, and I just wanted to get the idea right there. So that was kind of an advancement. And then as I got better at using the tech, I started to put it back into the diary comic and what I was doing there. So that's just an example. Right, I am going to finish because I do need to have some food. I've not seen Sloth's tweet, so I'm not sure if he's starting at 2. I know he was tired yesterday, so he might not be on. But if you've nothing to do for the rest of the day, feel free to follow the Broken Sloth. The film's usually pretty funny. And then I'm streaming tomorrow. It's a game stream tomorrow. It won't be at probably not at. I'll probably try and keep the at to the weekends because it's like a nice weekend vibe. Unless I start to feel like, I really need to do some painting. Need to do some artwork. But I've got a Twitter. I made a Twitter so that I can update what I'm going to be streaming. So if you've got a Twitter or if you follow it, there's in the about section on my page, I've got my Twitter feed, so you don't have to follow me. You can just go there. And I think that's that. Thank you so much for joining. It's been lovely chatting. It's been lovely painting. I can't wait to paint again soon. Roll on next weekend if that's when we do it. Take care and enjoy the show. You'll need to grab some lunch now and then get some work done. It's been really lovely. Transgender pride. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. Trans women are women. Trans people are people. My friend Red, who is non-binary, has a channel called Dead Cat Presents, which sounds worse than it is. They're a comedy promoter, so that's part of their brand. But they have a channel, Points of Redemption, which is where you just spend points to say trans women are women, and I think that's probably the most redeemed thing on their channel. Beautiful. Okay, you go eat, I'll go eat, and then we'll enjoy the rest of our chilled Sunday. Thanks for joining. Bye.